Did you know SHRM's correct answers have 5 distinct characteristics? And these 5 characteristics are staples in SHRM. Once you learn to spot these, the situational questions are a breeze. I've always liked the SJI questions more than the knowledge-based questions because I know without a shadow of a doubt, I can find the right answer on the situational questions, even if I don't fully recognize the content. The key lies in the 5 characteristics and going beyond just fixing the problem as it's presented. Because just because your answer fixes the problem does not mean it's the one that SHRM wants. And that's where a lot of people go wrong. They read the question, you see the problem, and you immediately think, okay, what would I do to solve this in my real life? But SHRM isn't just looking for a fix. They're looking for a pattern breaker. They want to know, how are you going to stop this from happening again? How are you going to prevent it in the future? And that's one of the 5 characteristics of a SHRM correct answer. The answer must align and be long-term. In this video, I'm going to show you why fix-it answers won't get you points, how SHRM thinks about long-term and proactive leadership, and how you can shift the way you read these questions before you choose an answer. Let's get started. A lot of people go into the SHRM exam with a checklist mindset, and it's based on what you would typically do in your role. Did I coach the employee? Did I document? Did I follow the handbook? The answers sound good, and sometimes they're part of the process. But on the exam, these are actually your trap choices. And that's because those are short-term fixes. But SHRM is testing if you can zoom out. They want to see, can you recommend a change that solves this now and prevents it long-term? Can you create a structure? Can you influence systems? And can you align that decision with the organization's bigger picture? Now, here's the thing. They're not going to tell you that they want a long-term fix. That defeats the purpose. All 4 answer choices are going to sound good. That's a part of the test. But they want to see if you understand the importance of big picture thinking. I'm going to give you an example of that. Let's say you get a question where an employee is being excluded from meetings by their manager. Here are 2 possible answer choices. A says speak to the manager and remind them of the inclusion policy. Now B says recommend a review of the meeting practices to ensure access across departments. Most people would probably pick A because it feels responsive. It shows immediate action and it solves the problem right now. But SHRM wants B because B is proactive and it is long-term. It shows you're thinking beyond this one person and addressing something that is systemic. That's how you have to shift your thinking. SHRM wants to know, what are you doing that actually changes the structure? So if you're always picking the option that feels helpful but doesn't really do anything that lasts, you're choosing the wrong answer. Okay, let's try one more. Say morale is low across departments and employees are starting to express burnout. Answer choice A might say, schedule a meeting with each team member to allow them to voice their concerns. Answer choice B might say, analyze the current workload distribution and recommend an organizational shift to balance responsibilities. Again, A sounds nice. It shows care. It shows communication, but it's reactive. It might make people feel heard, but it does not fix the problem. What SHRM is really doing here is testing your ability to lead, not just to manage, not just to respond to problems, but to lead. And that means being focused on the future. That means seeing one incident and asking, is this a part of a bigger pattern? And if it is, what do I need to put in place to stop this for the long term? SHRM doesn't want you to be reactive. It's not about just doing what the employees want. It's not about just responding to them. It's about creating long-term value for the organization. People ask me this all the time. They always say, I followed the policy. I addressed the concern, but the answer was still wrong. And that's because SHRM is not just testing your knowledge about how you can solve problems. They are trying to test how well you understand what HR is supposed to do at the strategic level. If your answer only helps one person one time, then that is not the answer that they want. They want to see how you protect the company, how you engage the employees, how you solve problems in a way that it benefits everybody. That is what long-term means. Now, everything I just shared with you, long-term, proactive thinking, that's just one piece of the strategy. Yes, just one. There are 4 more. And SHRM has a very specific framework for what makes an answer the right answer. There are 5 characteristics that they look for every single time. And I'm going to be breaking those down inside of the situational judgment workshop. So if you've been picking answers that feel responsive, but you're still kind of missing the mark, then take this as your sign, right? Sign up for the workshop. If you're still just guessing, or if you don't even know where to start, then come on over to the SJI workshop. Right? Because you can't keep guessing on this. As a matter of fact, you can't guess on exam day. Guessing on exam day is expensive because it might mean that you need to sign up for the exam again. So you want to make sure that you have a tried and true framework that you can go to answer these questions. I don't know why the situational judgment questions intimidate. I guess I do understand why they intimidate people so much, but I feel like after you understand what SHRM is looking for, after you understand the framework, then these are going to be the questions that you breeze right through, and then you'll just have to pay attention to those knowledge questions. So I'm going to leave the link in the description box to the situational judgment workshop, and I hope to see you guys over there. See you next week. Bye.